Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nathan and on this video I'll be predicting the entire NBA playoffs. Before we get into today's video, please smash that subscribe button and also turn on that notification bell if you're new to my channel. Odds are if you're watching this video, you really love sports, and also drop a like on this video. So we'll be going round by round, so let's begin the first round. The Golden State Warriors claiming the first seed versus the New Orleans Pelicans claiming the 8th seed. These two teams have met each other in the playoffs 2 times. The last playoff series between these two teams was back in the 2018 Western Conference semifinals. The Warriors won that series in 5 games. Last season, the Golden State Warriors made the playoffs for the first time since they last made an NBA Finals appearance in the 2018-2019 campaign. In the playoffs last season, they made it to the NBA Finals against the Boston Celtics. They won the NBA Finals in 6 games. In the last 6 playoff appearances for the Golden State Warriors, they have made 6 NBA Finals appearances and they have won 4 of those appearances. The New Orleans Pelicans made the playoffs last year for the first time since the 2017-2018 season. Last season in the playoffs, they made it to the Western Conference first round against the Phoenix Suns. Unfortunately for them, they lost that series in 6 games. In their franchise history, their deepest playoff run was to the Western Conference semifinals, and that has happened twice in their history. So my prediction is that the Golden State Warriors will win this series over the New Orleans Pelicans in 5 games. The Los Angeles Clippers claiming the 2nd seed versus the Minnesota Timberwolves claiming the 7th seed. The Los Angeles Clippers and the Minnesota Timberwolves have never faced each other in the playoffs. The Los Angeles Clippers missed the playoffs last season after making 3 consecutive postseason appearances in a row, and in their last 11 seasons they have made 9 playoff appearances. In their franchise history, their deepest playoff run was to the conference finals back in the 2020-2021 season, and they have done that just once. The Minnesota Timberwolves made the playoffs last season for the first time since the 2017-2018 campaign. In the playoffs last season, they made it to the Western Conference first round against the Memphis Grizzlies. Unfortunately for them, they lost that series in 6 games. Minnesota hasn't made back-to-back playoff appearances in a row since the early 2000s, and this would be their first since then. So my prediction is the Los Angeles Clippers will win this series over the Minnesota Timberwolves in 6 games. The Denver Nuggets claiming the 3rd seed versus the Dallas Mavericks claiming the 6th seed. These two teams have met each other in the playoffs twice. The last playoff series between these two teams was back in the 2009 Western Conference semifinals. The Nuggets won that series in 5 games. The Denver Nuggets have currently made the playoffs for 4 consecutive seasons in a row, and their last non-playoff appearance came in the 2016-2017 campaign. In the playoffs last season, they made it to the Western Conference first round against the Golden State Warriors. Unfortunately for them, they lost that series in 5 games. Since joining the NBA in the 1976 and 1977 season, they haven't made an NBA Finals appearance yet. Their deepest playoff run in their last 4 postseason appearances was to the conference finals in the 2019-2020 campaign. The Dallas Mavericks have currently made the playoffs for 3 straight seasons in a row. In the playoffs last season, they won the first round against the Utah Jazz, and they won the conference semifinals against the Phoenix Suns. And then they played against the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. Unfortunately for them, they lost that series in 5 games. That was their deepest playoff run since they won the NBA Finals in the 2010-2011 season. So my prediction is that the Denver Nuggets will win this series over the Dallas Mavericks in 7 games. The Phoenix Suns claiming the 4th seed versus the Memphis Grizzlies claiming the 5th seed. These two teams have met each other once in the playoffs in their history. The last playoff series between these two teams was back in the 2005 Western Conference first round. The Suns swept that series. The Phoenix Suns have currently made the playoffs in back-to-back seasons in a row. In the playoffs last season, they made it to the Western Conference semifinals against the Dallas Mavericks. Unfortunately for them, they lost that series in 7 games. In their franchise history, they have made 3 NBA Finals appearances, and they haven't won any of those appearances. And their most recent one was in the 2020-2021 campaign. The Memphis Grizzlies have currently made 12 playoff appearances in their franchise history, and they have currently made back-to-back postseason appearances in a row. In the playoffs last season, they made to the Western Conference semifinals against the Golden State Warriors. Unfortunately for them, they lost that series in 6 games. In their franchise history, they haven't made a NBA Finals appearance yet, and their deepest postseason run was to the Western Conference Finals in the 2012-2013 season. So my prediction is that the Phoenix Suns will win this series over the Memphis Grizzlies in 7 games. So now heading over to the Eastern Conference. The Boston Celtics claiming the 1st seed versus Atlanta Hawks claiming the 8th seed. The Boston Celtics and Atlanta Hawks have met each other in the playoffs 12 times in their history. The first ever playoff series between these two teams was back in 1957. The most recent one was back in the 2016 Eastern Conference first round. The Atlanta Hawks won that series in 6 games. The Boston Celtics have currently made the playoffs for 8 consecutive seasons in a row. They have made 1 NBA Finals appearance in that time last season. In the NBA Finals last season, they played against the Golden State Warriors. Unfortunately for them, they lost the NBA Finals in 6 games. Since the beginning of the 21st century, they have made 18 playoff appearances, with 3 NBA Finals appearances and winning one of those appearances in the 2007-2008 season. The Atlanta Hawks have currently made the playoffs for 2 consecutive seasons in a row. In the playoffs last season, they made it to the Eastern Conference first round against the Miami Heat. Unfortunately for them, they lost that series in 5 games. Their last NBA Finals appearance came in the 1960-1961 season as the St. Louis Hawks. So my prediction is that the Boston Celtics will win this series over the Atlanta Hawks in 6 games. The Milwaukee Bucks claiming the 2nd seed versus the Brooklyn Nets claiming the 7th seed. These two teams have met each other in the playoffs 4 times in their history. The last playoff series between these two teams was back in the 2021 Eastern Conference semifinals. Milwaukee won that series in 7 games. Milwaukee has made 6 playoff appearances in a row currently, and they have won 1 NBA Finals appearance in the 2020-2021 campaign against the Phoenix Suns. In the playoffs last season, they made it to the Eastern Conference semifinals against the Boston Celtics. Unfortunately for them, they lost that series in 7 games. Since the beginning of the 21st century, they have made the playoffs 13 times. The Brooklyn Nets have currently made the playoffs for 4 consecutive seasons in a row. In the playoffs last season, they played against the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference first round. Unfortunately for them, they got swept in that series. Brooklyn hasn't won an NBA Finals yet in their franchise history, and their last NBA Finals appearance came in the 2002-2003 season. So my prediction is that Milwaukee will win this series over the Brooklyn Nets in 6 games. The Philadelphia 76ers claiming the 3rd seed versus the Toronto Raptors claiming the 6th seed. These two teams have met each other in the playoffs 3 times in their history. The last playoff series between these two teams was back in the 2022 Eastern Conference first round. The 76ers won that series in 6 games. The Philadelphia 76ers have made the playoffs for 5 consecutive seasons in a row currently. In the playoffs last season, they made it to the Eastern Conference semifinals against the Miami Heat. Unfortunately for them, they lost that series in 6 games. The last time the 76ers made a NBA Finals appearance was back in the 2000-2001 season, and their last NBA Finals championship was back in the 1982-1983 campaign. The Toronto Raptors made the playoffs last season after missing it the season before. In the playoffs last season, they played against the Philadelphia 76ers in the Eastern Conference first round. Unfortunately for them, they lost that series in 6 games. Toronto has made the playoffs in 8 of the last 9 seasons and winning 1 NBA Finals championship in the 2018-2019 campaign. So my prediction is that the Philadelphia 76ers will win the series over the Toronto Raptors in 7 games. The Miami Heat claiming the 4th seed versus the Cleveland Cavaliers claiming the 5th seed. These two teams have never faced each other in the playoffs in their history. The Miami Heat have currently made the playoffs for 3 straight seasons in a row, and they have made one NBA Finals appearance in the 2019-2020 campaign. In the playoffs last season, they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Boston Celtics. Unfortunately for them, they lost that series in 7 games. Since the beginning of the 21st century, the Miami Heat have made the playoffs 16 times and making 6 NBA Finals appearances and winning 3 of those appearances. The Cleveland Cavaliers haven't made the playoffs since the 2017-2018 season when they went to the NBA Finals. In their last NBA Finals appearance in the 2017-2018 season, they lost that series against the Golden State Warriors. Last season was also the first winning campaign since their last NBA Finals appearance in the 2017-2018 season. So my prediction is that the Miami Heat will win this series over the Cleveland Cavaliers in 6 games. Now let's go to the next round. The Golden State Warriors versus the Phoenix Suns. The Golden State Warriors and the Phoenix Suns have met each other 3 times in the playoffs. In those 3 playoff series between these two teams, the Warriors have won 4 games and the Suns have won 11 games. But overall, the Suns have won all 3 of these series rounds. The last playoff series between these two teams was back in the 1994 Western Conference first round, and the Suns swept that series. So my prediction is that the Golden State Warriors will win this series over the Phoenix Suns in 6 games. The Los Angeles Clippers versus the Denver Nuggets. The Los Angeles Clippers and the Denver Nuggets have met each other 2 times in the playoffs. In those 2 playoff series between these two teams, the Clippers have won 7 games and the Nuggets have won 5 games. But overall, these two teams have won 1 series each. The last playoff series between these two teams was back in the 2020 Western Conference semifinals, and the Nuggets won that series in 7 games. So my prediction is that the Los Angeles Clippers will defeat the Denver Nuggets in 7 games in this series. The Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat. The Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat have met each other 5 times in the playoffs. In those 5 playoff series between these two teams, the Celtics have won 14 games and the Heat have won 16 games. But overall, the Heat have won 3 out of the 5 series rounds. The last playoff series between these two teams was back in the 2022 Eastern Conference Finals, and the Celtics won that series in 7 games. So my prediction is that the Boston Celtics will defeat the Miami Heat in 7 games in this series. The Milwaukee Bucks versus the Philadelphia 76ers. Milwaukee and the Philadelphia 76ers have met each other 9 times in the playoffs. In those 9 playoff series between these two teams, Milwaukee has won 20 games and the 76ers have won 29 games. But overall, the 76ers have won 6 out of the 9 series rounds. The last playoff series between these two teams was back in the 2001 Eastern Conference Finals, and the 76ers won that series in 7 games. So my prediction is that Milwaukee will defeat the Philadelphia 76ers in 7 games in this series. So now going into the conference finals. The Golden State Warriors versus the Los Angeles Clippers. The Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Clippers have met each other 2 times in the playoffs. In these 2 playoff series between these two teams, the Warriors have won 7 games and the Clippers have won 6 games. But overall, these two teams have won 1 series each. The last playoff series between these two teams was back in the 2019 Western Conference first round, and the Warriors won that series in 6 games. This series will be a hard-fought series between these two teams, and my prediction is that the Los Angeles Clippers will come away with the series victory in 7 games over the Golden State Warriors. The Boston Celtics versus the Milwaukee Bucks. The Boston Celtics and Milwaukee have met each other 8 times in the playoffs. In those 8 playoff series between these two teams, the Celtics have won 25 games and Milwaukee has won 21 games. But overall, the Celtics have won 6 out of the 8 series rounds. The last playoff series between these two teams was back in the 2022 Eastern Conference semifinals, and the Celtics won that series in 7 games. This series between both of these teams will be a really hard-fought battle. But my prediction is that Milwaukee will win this series in 6 games over the Boston Celtics. In the NBA Finals, we have the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Milwaukee Bucks. This will be the first ever NBA Finals series between the Los Angeles Clippers and Milwaukee. The Los Angeles Clippers franchise has been around since 1970-1971 season when they were the Buffalo Braves. They were the Buffalo Braves until they moved to San Diego in 1978 and became the San Diego Clippers. In 1984, the San Diego Clippers relocated to Los Angeles and became the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers are the league's oldest franchise to have never played in the NBA Finals yet, and they will be looking to win their first ever NBA championship this season. Milwaukee has been around since the 1968-1969 season, and they have made 3 NBA Finals appearances in 1971, 1974, and in 2021. In their franchise history, they have won 2 NBA Finals championships in 1971 and in 2021. In this NBA Finals, Milwaukee will be looking for the 3rd NBA title in franchise history this season and their 2nd title in 3 seasons. In this wonderful NBA Finals series between these two teams, I have the Los Angeles Clippers winning their first ever NBA Finals championship in 7 games over Milwaukee. So those are my NBA playoff predictions for this season. Who do you think will win the NBA Finals this year? Let me know in the comments down below. Before you leave, please smash that subscribe button and also turn on that notification bell if you're new to my channel. And if you love sports, this is definitely the channel for you. And also share this video with more sports fans. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Nathan, and I'll see you guys all in my next video. Just keep loving sports.